Hey guys, welcome to the channel. How you going? This video I'd like to put together. We've purchased a couple of tail tidies for our pair of CRF450rls. So I want to run through a video with you on how to install it. This one's going to be a bit of a detailed video. So hopefully if you pick up a tail tidy of some description, like what we've got, it might make it a bit easier for you to fit it up. So these are the 450s here. Let's get stuck into it. All right, so here we go. We're going to tackle my bike now, and I'm going to use a 10mm socket just to remove the seat, and then we're going to look at removing the rear mud flap. Got two 10mm nuts here. Put those aside. Lift the back of the seat and slide it backwards towards the rear of the bike off this clip here. And we'll sit this aside. Now what we'll do, remove the rear mud flap. So we'll just separate these parts here and we'll remove these Phillips head screws. There we go, they're out the way, put those aside. So separating these side panels, opening up the rear mud guard at the same time. And we'll pop it up. Put that off there, there we go. It's just a little tab under there. You've got to pop out, there we go. All right, slide it towards the front of the bike and up and out past this tab here, locates into the back. Now we're going to remove the tail section. You can pause. All right, now we're going to unplug the connector for the number plate light and the stop light at the same time while we're there. Here's our connector here. It's on the left-hand side of the bike. Just gonna wiggle it up and off its barb there. Back towards the front of the bike, there we go. And we're gonna peel back the rubber boot. Now with a flat blade small screwdriver, just going to come into the side of the connectors and lever them up slightly and remove stoplight connector at the top and the tail light, or sorry, the number plate light connector at the bottom. Alright, so what we're going to do now is remove the actual tail section. And to do that, I'm going to use a longer extension 10mm socket. Doesn't have to be 1/2 inch, it can be 3/4. Right, up underneath here is 4 bolts. Just going to start by cracking those off. Now that they're hand tight, go through and spin them off. There's 1. 2. 3. Now I've got this supported with my arm while I'm coming through just to wind this out, just so it doesn't scratch anything.
Stop.
Alright, so we're going to sit those 4 bolts aside. Just be careful as this starts to hang down. We're going to drop our little collars out. There's 2 smaller ones at the front and 2 larger ones at the rear. So as they fall down, we're just going to put those aside there. There we go, there's one. It's a larger one. There's going to be one on the other side there. If I take it out, it's not going to fall out, is it? There we go. It's another one. Now, we've got a little clip here locating the 2 plastic pieces together, just inside here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to come up underneath with my flat blade screwdriver and I'm going to push the clip up. Hear that click? The clip has gone up and released the inside. Now it should just come away. Just get that clip out so I can show you. That's the type of clip there. Put that aside. Now our tail section is loose and hanging. We've only got to feed the wire through. So if I get out of the way here, that's our bottom wiring harness from earlier. I might come from underneath, gently hold the rear plastic section and give it a wiggle. It'll drop down through the grommet and you're free. That's it. So you've got your 4 bolts, your plastic clip and your harness. Alright guys, so what we're going to do, grab your collars, your 2 larger and your 2 smaller, and your 4 nuts from just a moment ago. We're going to reinsert those into the bottom of this rear section to keep it stable while we work on it. So remembering the larger of the 2 went to the back of the bike and the smaller went to the front of the bike. Spin it upside down so the recessed part is going up inside. Apologies, I've got the wrong... So what we've got here is 2 different sized bolts. Can you see them there? So the smaller of the bolt goes to the front of the bike and the larger to the rear. There we go. Just make sure those collars sit inside the plastic before you do them up. Don't do it up all the way yet. If the collar catches on the outside of the plastic, it'll just deform it. wiggle, so they go up inside there. Alright guys, so that's still just loose. The collars are sitting inside the plastic, which is good. It's going to take our 10mm socket and extension. Do these up finger tight. That's the 4. Grab our ratchet. I'm just going to nip those up till it stops. And then, what are we talking, 1/8 of a turn? Not much. You just want it nipped up. It's only going to crush down on that collar. Okay, we're secure. Now we're going to move up to removing the tail light. Alright guys, removing the tail light. We've got the tail light here, a collar, our 10mm spanner to remove these 2 nuts first. So let's do that. Alright. Oh, make sure you hold that stoplight. They're quite tight. We don't want to damage anything. We want to keep all this gear. Spin those nuts off. We've got washers there. Now keep these aside. We're going to reuse those. That's our 2 nuts, our 2 washers. Grab your tail light, give it a bit of a wiggle. It's going to pull threads through the rubber that secures it there, and we're going to feed the harness through at the same time. So what I'm actually going to do, I've just popped the clips out for this collar, and I'm going to take it with it. There's a Phillips head screw underneath. Let's grab our Phillips on the drill. I'm just going to come underneath and undo that now. Okay. Any more clips there? Harness is through. Something's holding it at the bottom. I'm going to put that screw aside, get my flat blade here. Just going to lever it. Okay. All right. So that rear hole there where the screw went up through is actually retained with something that sits inside it. So I've got my screw stick in there and just pried it down up out of the way, and that comes out. All right. Moving on. All right. So for the next bit, you're going to need to grab what we've got here anyway is the DRC hardware, which is aluminium holding kit with tail lamp for the CRF450rl. So your tail light there and the bracket. Put that tail light down. The bracket we've got here, 2 pieces and hardware. Now what we've actually done is put on some double-sided tape as an insulator against the bike here. There's a ridge running around the outside of this section, and this foam here is actually going to depress in and stop a little bit of dust ingress, we hope anyway. Just a little extra measure we've done there. All right, let's marry these 2 together. All right, so these 2 pieces, hold this piece like so, that orientation. Now this piece here with this facing you, and we're just going to pop those 2 together, marry the holes up with your hardware or your bolt facing out. Just going to drop those into the holes there, holding that. Going to grab our nuts, flip it over, and we're going to do up the nuts there. Hard to hang on to. There we go. Now we'll need an Allen key and a spanner to hold that. So holding your tail tidy, we've got our Allen key here. I think it's about a 5mm. We're going to drop that into the bolt there with our 10mm spanner. We're just going to nip that up there. There's no lock washer on this, so I'm just going to give it a bit more tension than I would something else. There we go. That's all it is. That's your tail tidy. And we're going to secure that to the bike and put our tail lamp on it. I'll grab the other piece for reference. This is your original kit compared to your tail tidy. I think we're reducing, what, about half a kilo? About half a kilo off the bike. They're considerably different in weight. So, all right. Grab your tail light. This one, the DRC hardware, which we've discussed. We're going to crack that open. We're going to install that right now. Be careful not to drop it and damage it. There's our LED stop and tail with LED number plate light. Set that aside for a sec. In this packet, what we need to grab for this is the 2 collars and the 2 bolts. So let's pull them out. The rest aside. So the 2 collars here, we need to insert into the back of the bike with the extension facing in. It's a bit like a spacer. All right. Grab your tail light. Undo your wiring harness. Just going to feed that through as we install it. All right, guys, grab your tail tidy. I'm going to leave the tail light down there for now. I'm going to sit it up against the back of the bike. Just like so. It slides in between these 2 locators here. Nice and neat. And that's actually quite sturdy. It's just going to stay there. Slide your bolts through. The collars that we inserted a minute ago. And that'll stay there. We're going to grab our nuts from earlier. When we removed the tail light, we removed our 2 washers and nuts. So we've grabbed those and we're going to reinstall them here now. A little bit fiddly, but easily doable. Bit of low light today. Okay, those are finger tight. Let's grab our Allen key and 10mm spanner. We're just going to nip these up. They're suspended by the rubber grommet, so just need to be done up with a bit of tension. Again, that collar that's gone through there, that's what we're biting up against. It's not going to go any further than that. I'll go back and check this up one now. And we're on. All right, guys, so grab your tail light for this part. We're going to remove the pre-installed nut and lock washer from the back of the tail light. Just spin those off there. There we go. The tail light here. Extend out your harness. What we're going to do, dangle that down straight as possible. I'm going to push the harness through the back of the bike here. Hold it with my knees. Now down through this part here. Once you get the 3 wires through the inner hole, which is the original, we'll be cooking. most difficult part, is it, apart from the soldering? There we go, we've got 2 through. There we go. Right, it's a bit of a wiggle. Nice and gentle so you don't damage the harness. Now I'm holding that tail light in between my knees there so it doesn't scratch and bang on the bike. Right, there we are. Harness is in and through. We'll just dangle that down. Tail light, number plate light here, facing down, as long as we've got it like that. And poke at the studs through the hole, just enough. Now, we're going to secure this, so we put on the flat washer, spring washer, and 8mm nut. Again, a little bit fiddly. Let me just get my finger in the way for a sec. There we go. Spin that on a little bit. Same on the other side. Washer, spring washer, and nut. Spin those up finger tight. Look at that, better already. We've got our 8mm spanner. We'll just nip these up, crushing down that spring washer. That's going to stop it from vibrating loose. Now this is retained in plastic inside here. Don't over tighten this. Might ruin your day. Go, just by feel. Don't need to overdo it. Brilliant. Guys, this stage can be a little bit tricky, fiddly. You need a couple of tools for it. Soldering iron, solder and such for this kit, for the DRC kit there. What we're going to do is remove about 1 foot off this harness. See there, it's 30-40 centimeters, and the harness will loop back nicely inside here. So let's do that now. Okay, the harness here, we've got some wire stripping pliers. Just going to cut that off now. Put that aside. Our razor blade. I'll strip down that harness. I want to go down a little bit with this sheath. Cut that section off it. It's quite difficult to hold. Okay, our wires are exposed. Now, because we're going to heat shrink this, just want to go down a bit further, and we're going to tape it up later. There we go. There's our 3 wires. What I'm going to do now is strip about, what have we got there, 10, 15 mil off the end, nice and careful. Dispose of that. You don't want to keep the rest of it inside your strippers because it won't strip it properly. Go, strippers go down. Just twist this wire neat. I'm going to grab some heat shrink now. Slide it down over these. Just random heat shrink that we've got here. The colour's not for any reason, purpose. feed your wire through. Get it as far away from the joint as you can. Get a bit of a twist as it goes on. We've just got a inexpensive kit of heat shrink there. It's from the shed, so it comes in handy. Okay, 3 wires ready to go. So what we're going to do, if you grab your original tail light, we're actually going to cut the original connector off the back of it because this is always reversible. We're going to go, I reckon, about here, about halfway. We want at least that 15 mil of wire to play with. Let's cut that off now. Find a place that you're happy with. Enough wire you can work with. All this is up to you. And I think we're happy with that. Just going to cut that off there. All right. Tail line down. Here's our connector. We need to strip this off to expose and access the wiring. So off camera, I've just stripped the cover off there to the wires, separated the 3 wires there. That's our original connector. Wire strippers, we want to take off again another 10 or 15 mil just from the end of that there. Empty those out. Gotta be gentle with these. Might pull a bit of wire off. Okay. Just make sure you eject any of that wire coating out of there or it won't work properly. There we go. There's our 3 wires. Just twist them up a little bit. And we're ready to get our instruction manual out. We'll pair the wires together in the right orientation and we'll start soldering.
Daddy,
There's trouble. Gonna come help us fix the bikes?
No.
Okay, wiring. We're gonna connect the original connector to the harness of the tail light from the DRC kit. To do that, in the kit, you've got an instruction pamphlet. So we're gonna pull that out, open this up, and this is the easiest way to do it. Got our pamphlet here for installation. So just go through down the bottom here, wiring instruction. So what we're going to do here is match up our black to yellow, green with a yellow trace to red, and green to black on the tail light. Let's do that now. Grab your connector. The first one we're going to do, so our connector is pretty much the body. So you'll read on your instructions there, body side, that'll be your original connector. And then tail light, being your harness for the tail light, obviously. So black on the body side, which is your connector. Got the black wire there. And yellow, find your yellow wire. What we're gonna do, lay those 2 side by side, and we're just going to spin them on that axis, looping them together. Nice and tight wind. Okay, next wire, I'm just going to do this to all 3 wires, then I'm going to come through and we'll do a test before we solder it. Green with a yellow trace, so you can see that here. I've got a green wire, yellow trace running down it. That one matches up with the red wire, so we're nice and close at the moment. Lay those together Let's make a shape of an X kind of thing. We'll start by twisting one over the other. If you're not sure on how to solder, there's probably plenty of videos on it you can watch just to get an idea, a bit of a background on it. It's quite simple if you've got the tools already. Now, finally, we'll just confirm though, even though we've got only 2 wires left, the green wire, which that's green only, to the black. There's many ways you can do this. Somebody might say it's better one way or the other, but at the end of the day, that doesn't matter. As long as you've got the 2 wires in contact with each other and a nice, but not too much amount of solder on there, you'll be fine. Okay, keep those separate. What we're going to do now, gently bring that over. And you've got to be gentle because they'll pull apart. What we want to do here is plug that in to the upper connector. And make sure these wires are apart. That's easy, just leave that alone there. Come up to the front of the bike. I'm going to turn it on with the key. Have a look at the back here. We've got tail light, number plate light, they're both working, that's good. Just test that stop light. All right, excellent. That's the stop light coming on and off, not the number plate light. You don't want that coming on. We're good. All right, let's start soldering. All right, so we're gonna undo that connector. Again, being gentle. Sit that up somewhere where you can access it. Grab my soldering iron. Bring it over close to where you're working. Now, solder. You need some of that. Pull that out. So you've got plenty. However you're comfortable, apply a little bit of solder to the soldering iron. Now this soldering iron's been preheated. We're going to transfer the heat into the wire using the solder and slowly dab the wire with the extra solder. It's gone cold. Let's come away from the iron. Give me a sec. Heat that up again. It's too slow, it's locked up on me. Come from the top, there we go. Come from back underneath, a bit more solder on. There we go. That's it, a bit more heat into it. Perfect. Okay, next one. Pull some more solder out. Try and be a bit quicker with this one. Solder on. I think it's because the wire's moving. There we go. Different solders will give you different results. All right, a bit of solder on there. There we go. That's it, that's it. There we go. There's 2. What I'm struggling to do is to hold pressure onto the wire with the soldering iron. Let's see if I can do that a bit better with this one here now. Sometimes you might need a hand to do this. All right, there we go, grab that for me. Now I can apply pressure underneath the wire. That'll help transfer the heat. There we go. Bit more solder on there. Get it into the wire. Right, that's plenty. Okay, that's it. Put that soldering iron somewhere safe. Out of the way. Unplug it because we're done with that now. Okay. Make sure that's cool enough. Straighten your harness out there. Cool to touch. We're going to slide out the heat shrink that we put on earlier. As you're sliding it up, let's give it a bit of a twist and a roll. It should... Are you going to have problems? Just a little catch there. There we go. Till it sits in about the centre. Second one. You can use a bit bigger diameter heat shrink if you like. Make it easier. This is what we're using. Number 3. Bit of wire catching there, just going to straighten that out. There you go, a little roll trick works, doesn't it? Okay. To shrink that down, we're going to use a heat gun. We've got an electric one here, so I'm going to plug that in now. Get that on. We're just going to put this on setting 1. It won't take very long for it to heat up. There we go. Bit of a distance there. You'll watch it start to... I suppose you've got to keep it away from other things. You just start to see it shrivel. Don't put too much heat there. It's only got to stay in place, and we're pretty much done there. All it's got to do is to stop it sliding up and down in the wire. That's not going anywhere. Cut. Alright, now we're going to run some electrical tape around our harness to make it sealed, protected, professional. So we'll put the sheath back first. Alright, that wire's exposed, that's fine. A bit of your wire off. We're going to come on a 45-degree angle kind of thing, and then start coming down the harness. Hold that there, keep it taut if you can. Can be difficult, especially if you haven't done it before, to get it perfect, but it doesn't have to be. Just like to do things properly, don't you? All right, down to hold that connector. We'll keep going down to the end, and if I can, I'll come back. The more I put on here to give it strength for bumping around inside the cavity there. Here we are. All right, that's done. It's not too bad. Bit of fiddly work. That's our harness. Original connector, taillight harness. Let's install it into this back end neatly in here. Zip tie it up. We're right to reinstall. There's many different ways you can do this. You could bunch the harness up inside and plug it in if you like that. What I'm going to do is run the harness down the chassis, underneath it and back up and in. So let's do that. Lift my connector up here, the original connector. I'm going to slide that underneath. I'm then going to tuck the rest of the harness underneath the chassis, pull it through the other side to lay it beside the rest of the bike harness. Flat back over, fix that in a minute. Back underneath here, and connect that in to the upper connector. Remember, the lower was our number plate harness, which we're no longer using. Fold the boot back down, dust boot. Find your barb here and slide it down over. That's retaining the connector in that orientation so that water drains out. That's important. So just let me fix this flap. Okay, harness up against the side of the chassis here. I'm going to undo this zip tie, this original zip tie. I'm going to lay my harness down inside it and do it back up. And there needs to be one click, doesn't need to be that tight. And there you go, it's running down beside the original harness. That's neat there, that's all neatly laid inside, nothing rubbing. Flap over the top. Let's start reinstalling the other components. Next, we're going to grab the mud flap. And I think there's a couple of ways you can install this, but let's give it a go. We're going to install the rear clip into where the tail light goes and then drop it down. So let's try that now. This one is a bit of feel. Alright, that looks like that's in. Then you just got to spread the side panels out and drop it down till it locates. Locates down underneath the chassis here, all smooth, and it's not lifting up. It's all the way back, screw holes are lined up, easy as that. The alternative is you could drop this in here first with the side spread and then try and get that rear clip into place, but that's going easy that way as well. Let's grab the screws in. Got our 2 screws from earlier. Phillips head screwdriver. These are going into plastic, so just be careful. You only want to nip them up. Making sure that harness is out of the way. There we go. Don't want to send it home with a rattle gun or anything like that. There we go. Just to stop it from popping out of place. Now we're going to grab the seat. What we're going to do with the seat, same again but opposite. Got a tab here at the front. I'm going to slot it in underneath on the tank here to the locator and then drop the seat down. Sit into place, slide it forward. You can feel that's firm and tight at the front. And if you come in a bit closer, we can see here, we're going to actually drop these down in behind here, and they actually go in behind this black plastic. So just get that to happen now. Check the other side. Give it a tap so you're comfortable with it. And we're going to grab our 2 10mm bolts. These are our 10mm bolts from earlier. On the home stretch now. Just give that a bit of a wiggle until it starts to find the thread. You're going through 3 or 4 layers here, so just make it easy for yourself. Hand tight with your ratchet. Just give that a bit of a nip up. Not too tight, so it doesn't undo with vibration. And we're pretty much there. Come and have a look from the rear. Looks pretty neat, I think. Got our rear tail light here that follows the shape or contours of the mud flap, and our number plate will sit on here where my hand is nicely. I'll switch that on for you. Get a better look. Now this is your DRC hardware aluminium holding kit. We reckon it's all right for the price. A little bit of soldering, that's it. What we're going to do also with the plate back on, going to reinstall this little screw back in the bottom there. You can see it, zoom in on that. Just in there. It's one of the ones that we took out in the beginning. And then it will be done. Looks great. Just a tip we've got here. We've got some, I can zoom in on that there. Got some clips here. What we're going to do, there's a hole under here, if you can see. Oh, you can see the red through it of the guard. That's where the original harness come through. So I'm going to use this clip here. Push it up through the rubber grommet. Just fits in there nicely. And then clip it into place. And that's going to do the best to stop mud from going in there. I know water can still drain out, but it's just a bit better. And that was, these clips is what we've used. Panel clips, if that's helpful. All right, that's the end of this one. Don't forget to subscribe, put any comments in you want, and I'll do my best to reply to them. I hope this was helpful for your project if you're looking at tackling this yourself. I'm sure basic rules apply to most of these bikes, so all the best. Thanks for watching.